And so here is Paul now testifying as he writes this Galatian letter. I love the Galatian letter. It's a powerful and luminous and liberating letter. It's an emancipating epistle because Paul writes, and listen to how he begins. He begins with his own testimony. I kind of like that because there's power in your testimony. When you know what God has done for you, there's nothing like sharing your own story. When you know how God has blessed you and kept you, when you know how God has taken good care of you, when you know how God has raised you when others tried to tear you down, when you know how God has healed you when your body was broken, when you know how God has set you free when others tried to lock you up, when you know how God has blessed you as an underdog to overcome, every now and then you ought to give your testimony. That's why we used to sing in the old school church, blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. I'm an heir of salvation. I've been purchased by God, born of his spirit and washed in his blood. Here it is. This is my story. This is my song. Anybody got a story of what God has done for you? Anybody got a story of how God has blessed you and kept you? As a matter of fact, somebody ought to start a praise party right quick and just say, when I think of the goodness of Jesus and all that he's done for me, somebody can have a praise party right quick and a holler for every mountain that he brought me over, for every trial he's seen me through, for every blessing. Hallelujah. For this I give you praise. And that's what Paul does. Paul starts out with his testimony. Jeremiah Wright tells a humorous and yet amazing story about about this brilliant philosopher who was also an atheist that came to lecture at the University of Chicago. And while lecturing, especially to some preachers who had come in, his lecture basically wiped out logically any notion that there is a God. At the end of his profound and persuasive lecture, one of the old school preachers stood up and said, I got a question for you. And then he took out an apple, and when he took out the apple, he took a bite out of the apple, and he began to grub on the apple. And while grubbing on the apple, he said, I got a question for you. Can you please tell me if this apple is ripe, sweet, or bitter? And of course, the man who had just given the profound lecture that basically wiped out any notion that there could be any kind of a God anywhere said, of course, I cannot tell you if it is sweet, bitter, or ripe. And then the preacher said, well, why can't you tell me? You seem to know everything. You told me there is no such thing as a God. So surely you can tell me with all of your scientific brilliance if this apple is sweet, if the apple is ripe, or if it is bitter. To which the man said, no, I can't tell you that. Why can't you tell me that? Because I haven't tasted it for myself. And that's what the old preacher said. Well, you can't tell me that there's no such thing as a God because I've tasted God for myself. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is. Anybody tried him for yourself? Anybody know that God is?
West Baptist Church.